Welcome back to the Land Journals. This will be a two-part episode in sketching landscapes and details of landscapes through a geological lens in Lay of the Land. The way landscape is formed, whether through geological events like mountain building or weathering and erosion, influences not only the way nature occupies and utilizes space, but how people have used landscape for better or worse. I'm a frequent visitor to our national battlefield parks like Gettysburg, Fredericksburg, and on this trip, Antietam. I spent time in these now peaceful, nature-filled places to practice landscape sketching and later some painting. Landscapes are built on the page as layers of overlapping plains. Distant mountain ridges are overlapped by hills that appear much bigger because they're closer. Tree lines and field edges dip and rise against these hills, and structures like an old barn in this sketch are viewed only partially as the foreground of corn and wheat fields rise and dip in gentler shadowing of the highest features in the distance. I work to establish the darkest areas closest to my position, as a contrast to the atmospheric purples and blues of the distant range. On this early spring day, the old fields were just beginning to show color, so I accented the scrubby, drab corn stubble with yellow to pop against the purple front of the Blue Ridge beyond. I want to show how this landscape is constructed geologically, as each ridge and valley has its own deep history, so I placed a pop-out frame for a diagram into the sketch. Working a scrubbed layer of watercolor over water-resistant layers of colored pencil adds texture to the rough ground. I set aside areas of untouched white page to serve as a close-up bank of exposed limestone and rough in the sharp edges of stone around it. Both the white paper and the sharp edges contrast dramatically against the soft colors and gentle contours of rolling hills beyond. I consulted a geology book for this region to adapt a map of the valley and its mountains. This diagram helps explain why the bloodiest single-day battle of the American Civil War was fought here. The lay of the land had everything to do with it. For part 2, let's look at vertical landscapes. When I'm hiking hilly terrain, I want to evoke a sense of height in my landscape sketches and help you understand where you are in space and time. A cutaway view of a section of the landscape can be helpful, but what's better is a before and after sketch that shows what I saw the day I hiked the bluffs and what that same area may have looked like during the last ice age, 35 to 40,000 years ago, before the river began down-cutting to its present level. To do a before and after sketch, you might have to do some research to discover what a region may have looked like and what plants and animals occupied the place you're imagining. My favorite extinct animal is the woolly mammoth, and it was found grazing in herds across a vast boreal spruce savanna during a much colder and drier time. The fossil record of bog plants, spruce forests, grasslands, and animal bones can help us imagine the landscape when this river gravel was deposited in banks and ledges as the ancient Potomac made its way to the distant Atlantic Ocean. As the eastern seaboard began to tilt towards the sea, the result of the ice sheet receding to the north, the Potomac began to downcut and carve its way to the Atlantic, which was rising with glacial meltwater, flooding the lower parts of the river and creating what is now the Chesapeake Bay and the tidewater some 150 miles south. The Potomac now runs 100 feet below where I hiked the Bluff Trail, treading on ancient river gravel terraces. The two-sketch comparison of the river running far below the bluff with the meandering, not yet down-cutting, boreal river makes for a fun, imaginative journey through time. I kept the two sketches related with the same color palette, a very limited selection of ultramarine blue, ochres, and umber. For inspiration, I looked at wonderful and accurate paleolandscape art that uses fossil records and archaeology to provide glimpses of this past. Check out the work of paleo artist Alice Watterson and the virtual museum online of Nunalak, Alaska, she helped create. Thanks for joining me on this geological journey through time. I'll see you next time on the Land Journals.